This is my 15-year-old citrus tree. I grew it from a grapefruit seed. It's incredibly tough. Ants, scales, spider mites, nothing seems to be able to kill it. Squirrels have tried. They failed, but left many scars on it. It's also probably my most cold-tolerant tropical fruit tree. It can survive many days without watering, especially in wintertime, and it does not require much light to stay alive. I actually left it many years in a dark corner of the house with minimal care and covered with spider mite webs. It never died. It would probably survive a nuclear winter. Actually, a radioactive nuclear blast could be just what it needs to blossom. In 15 years, it has never flowered. If you are wondering why I'm wasting my time with a citrus seedling instead of growing a grafted tree, well, my reasons are a bit wacky. Fruit production is not the goal of the pruning I'm about to do on this tree. I have 3 objectives I want to achieve. I want better airflow through the foliage so that the tree is no longer easily toppled by wind gusts. I also want to reduce its size and keep it in the same pot. And finally, I want to play with its shape, like changing a piece of furniture in the house, just for the looks. With these 3 objectives in mind, I'm not going to hold back, as I know this tree can take it. I decisively start the deconstruction with the fuss cut to set the tone. Next, I remove the dead or damaged branches. Now I move on to crossing branches. I like to start with the small branches first, before taking care of the bigger ones. The bigger branches that I kept over the years are usually not crossing branches, but now I want to clear the center of the tree as much as possible, so if the branch is pointing inwards, it has to go. These 2 branches are converging, one of them must go. This tree has a tendency to produce multiple branches from a single node, which makes the pruning a little bit more tricky when I want to keep one of the branches of the node. I finished the job with nail clippers for a clean cut. I'm going to keep only one branch in this cluster of 3 branches pointing in the same direction in the mixed section of the tree. These 2 branches from a single node are pointing inwards. No need for contortions this time. I'm getting rid of both of them. These 2 older and bigger branches are going in the same direction. I start by removing the smaller of the 2. I then come back to the bigger branch. I trained this branch to manage the height of the tree, but now it's too tall, even with the curve down. Somehow the cut I'm making here is not satisfactory, so I switched to easier cut for now. Well, there are not that many easier cuts left, so I remind myself that I want to reduce the size of the tree as I start to hesitate more often. I decide to turn to heading cuts. Those are usually easier than thinning cuts, in my opinion. I just make sure to cut at the right node to control the direction of future growth. With my momentum back, I no longer hesitate to deconstruct this center branch of the tree. And with this main piece entirely gone, what I need to do is clearer. Now it's time to prune the roots. The hardest part is lifting the root ball out of the pot. The move is difficult because one arm has to pull on the trunk while the other arm has to push on the container. This can be a backbreaker. The key is to bend the knees and push with the legs while keeping the back as straight as possible. I'm aiming to prune about a third of the root ball once every 2 or 3 years. The tree does not seem very wood-bound at first sight, but wait, you might be surprised. The soil is old. I know it because the white particles are perlite, and it's been years since I replaced perlite with rock dust for all my tropical plants. Usually people grow citrus trees for the flowers and the fruits. So they turn to grafted trees because citrus trees grown from seeds take many years, sometimes decades, before they bear fruit. I grow my citrus tree for physical and spiritual training. No kidding. There is no way I'm going to lift this tree out of its spot if I'm not in a good shape. On a more spiritual level, all the information about the characteristics of the fruits this tree would produce is already encoded in its DNA, yet can have an influence. Quantum mechanics tell us that a particle can be in a superposition of states until the collapse of its wave function. Or more simply stated, the Schrödinger cat in a box is both dead and alive at the same time, until an observer opens the box. Growing a citrus tree from seed actually trains the power of manifestation. I'm probably the only human on earth thinking about the future fruits of this specific citrus tree. Actually, maybe not. Since I published a video on it, maybe you too are now thinking about its future fruits. Of course, all this is only wishful thinking without aligning the spiritual with the physical. This video merely documents the physical aspect. And just to be clear, I'm not talking about trying to manifest a tactical nuclear strike to get this tree to fruit. Sorry, I went on a tangent. Let's get back to root pruning. I make sure to also prune the roots on the top, because when a citrus tree becomes root bound in a pot, its roots will develop in every little space they can. For the soil, as mentioned earlier, I no longer use perlite. I make my own mix of compost, rock dust, and sandy garden soil for my raised beds. A viewer asked me if rock dust can be replaced with sand. Actually, my mix contains both rock dust and sand from the garden soil. The different sizes of particles are great for the structure of the soil, notably for its water draining and wicking characteristics. I want the fast draining in wintertime and the water wicking in summertime for bottom watering. As always, I like to plant the tree high. This can make the watering a little bit tricky at first, especially with a layer of mulch, as the water will have a tendency to run off with the topsoil. But the idea is to have the new soil on the top slowly fill the gaps left by the water jet during the root pruning. The tree will settle lower after repeated watering. I will replace the mulch with a thick layer of rock dust when I move the tree indoors in fall to fight fungus gnats. A week after the pruning, my citrus tree did something it rarely does, pushing out new growth in summertime. It usually cycles its leaves only after I bring it back indoors before winter time. By contrast, my saucer tree next to it cycles its leaves when I bring it outdoors before summertime. Although I added compost to my soil mix, I'm going to give it some fertilizer to see how it responds after displaying this unexpected vigor following the aggressive pruning it went through. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe for updates.